Okay, this is part 3 for Mina Crichton versus the New Zealand Police. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the last bit of the evidence that I think is vital because this was brought up in court. Now, I did refer the judge about the date of, this was my evidence for, like, good thing for criminology. When you read documents, it's really easy to actually, it takes a lot of experience, but it's really easy to detect fraud, or cases like mine if you are knowledgeable and it has that kind of background. So this guy here, he ended up knowing somebody that I was helping, and that was where Heather Hughes came in. Okay, her photo is on one of the exhibits. There's a photo of exhibits of people that I knew, that they're a witness or they're people that I knew. Okay, but I had a reasonable belief, and this was said in court. Okay, that this guy here knew both Heather Hughes and Angela Jones. Now, Angela Jones is the one that went missing, and I went to report her missing. And my suspicion at that time when she went missing was, I knew something really bad had happened to her. She just disappeared, but I was the closest person at that time helping her. She also went to church for a little bit, so there's a lot of people that can actually prove that she does exist. Now, she used to come to my work just to come and see me. She was doing rehab, and she also had confided in me that the father of her child was murdered, and I met her around about 2007. And I was working in the civil jurisdiction counter. Now, I was working mainly in the counter staff at that point of time, but I was still I was still a court deputy registrar. I was still filling in. I was still doing other things, and I was also a PSA delegate. So I still had other things that I was doing, not just doing the counter. But I did other things while I was there, and I was still a court deputy registrar. So I did the filling in for courts when they needed me, so I did quite a bit. And I was also a marriage celebrant at this point of time, so I did quite a bit, and I was also a PSA delegate, which meant I had to travel, different places to do workshops and stuff like that we have to do when you are a PSA delegate. Now, this person here knew both witnesses, and but he didn't know I knew him, and he didn't know that I knew him when he decided to check me out. I've had a close encounter with him at the point where he walked right past me, but he knew Heather really well. He had a red motorbike, and I know I've put that on my Facebook page, but I didn't know who he was, and he used to go and stay the night and visit Heather. But I didn't know who he was. I was really close to Heather. Really close. I was helping her at the time. And then Heather came along my path in 2006 at the counter, and I helped her out because she had walked. She said she had walked for like 2 hours from Bethel's Beach, and she was meant to go to the tenancy tribunal on Lincoln Road, but she had come to the counter at Waitakere District Court because she said she was going to get evicted. So that's when I first met her. But then she was swearing her head off. She was frustrated, and she just I could just tell that she'd had a really stressful day, and she needed to get to a tenancy place, because she said she was going to get evicted. Well, with that, she had realised because it was nearly going to close. I think it was about 4 in the afternoon, and I said to her, well, you've come to the wrong place. We realised she'd come to the wrong place. She needed to go to the tenancy tribunal. I think it was in Lincoln Road. And she started crying and getting upset and swearing her head off, but she was just distressed. She was like red as a beetroot, because she could tell she'd been walking. And I said to her, well, how about I had $20 in my wallet, and I said to use this, go and catch a cab and go to your appointment. And she was surprised I did that, but I just saw a need, and I gave her $20 to go and catch a cab. And she says, well, she had a gold watch in her hand, and she said, here, take this, and I'll come back and pay you back. And I says, nah. I says, don't worry about it. Take your watch. But she just chucked it on the counter and left in the elevator. And I says, hey, I don't even know your name, because I didn't. And she called out, my name's Heather. And the lift closed, and that was the last time I saw her. She gave me her gold watch, and then I just put it in the drawers and waited for her to come back and pick it up. She eventually came back about 2 weeks later, and to try and pay me back. And I didn't take her money. I says, no, just take your watch. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You need it more than me. That's how I met Heather Hughes. And then she needed a lift home. And so I said to her, look, just wait for me outside. I finish soon, and I'll drop you off home. And so I went home first. I took this woman, a stranger, home to my place. And my kids were little. But, I was just being motivated by compassion to help her. And, I didn't see any danger. She was just somebody that needed help. So I took her home. And then I gave her some food. And I said, look, because I had to get home because the kids were finishing school and I needed to be home. And I took Kimberly. Kimberly was home. So I took Kimberly with me. And then I drove and took her to where she wanted to go. And it was so far. I was out in the Wop-Wops. I'd never driven that far before. And as we went down that road, my daughter, she was, just skipping ahead of us. And I said to her, because I thought at first, this is quite a strange place where you're living, because she was out in the Wop-Wops. And I was expecting to see a house or something, but I wasn't seeing a house when I was walking down this path. I was seeing just bush. And I felt a little bit uneasy because I didn't know where we were going. I'd parked my car up this long driveway, and then we were walking down this long bush. And I felt a little bit uneasy because I couldn't see our house, and we were just walking. I'm dropping her off home. And so I called my daughter to come back. She was only, I think she was intermediate. No, she was actually in primary. She was in primary. And I called her to come back, and because for safety, I didn't know what to expect, because I didn't know anything about this female. And then as we approached her place, and I looked at her and I said, oh, that's quite weird. But I looked at her, and she had an expression on her face like something was wrong. And then that really got me a little bit scared, because I had my daughter with me, but I didn't react. I just, and then I realized that she wasn't even living in a house. She was living in a cabin out in the bush. And she was upset. She had the facial expression, she was upset, and she started crying and panicking. And the next minute I saw this big Aussie butcher knife on the door, like a threat. And she panicked. I was panicked. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what have I done? I don't even know her. What do I do? And my daughter was scared. And she told me she was scared, and I just told her, it's okay, just stay calm. And I couldn't leave her there. It was quite clear that she was in danger, and it looked like somebody had ransacked her home. That looked like a caravan, wasn't even a house, wasn't even a... And another thing I thought was, she got evicted from there. You know, like she got evicted. I thought it was a house, but it wasn't. It was like a shed, kind of like a... Yeah, it was really tiny, and it was right out in the bush. So that's how I met that female. But it was quite obvious I couldn't leave her there. You know, you just, as a good citizen, you just don't abandon somebody when they need you. And I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself if I left her there, because I wouldn't know what happened to her. So I said, okay, then how about I take you home, and you can stay with me for a while, you know, until you sort yourself out. And that's what happened. I took her home, and that was the beginning of that relationship. As it turned out, she did know this guy, but the person that told me that Heather knew him was Angela. And then Angela warned me about Heather, and then I knew that Heather had gone back. She had gone back to her old life, whatever that life was. But Heather never told me about him, but I knew that he knew him because he was at her house. And then I didn't know he was who he was until I sent the protected disclosure to him, and in those letters it had Heather and Angela's name on it. And then he left his job suddenly, and he was stalking me for a while because of his bike. I noticed him stalking me, but he didn't know that I knew he was having his bike parked out of Heather's house overnight. Like in the morning, his bike was there, so obviously he was sleeping over. And then I just put two and two together, and I was like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Not that I did anything, it's them. And then he decided to check me out, and this is what I told the courts, that Steve Shortland knew Heather and Angela, and it was Angela who warned me about him and warned me about Heather, and to be very careful. She saved my life, because I just know when somebody is telling me the truth. So I did tell the courts, this is evidence in courts, that I can actually identify him. He actually decided he wanted to check me out. And so I can tell where the evidence is. I won't say it here, under the camera, and I'm sure that can be retrieved, where he walked right past me and I walked right past him, and I was shit scared. Oops, I just said it, but I was. I really was. Sorry for swearing, but I've been doing a lot of that because of my mental anguish and out of frustration. And the things that everyone has put me through is inhumane. But that is what happened with that story. I also told the courts that my friend went missing. The other thing I found really strange about the evidence was that I had a reason to believe she was murdered, okay, with what was linked to what she was telling me. And she was just a person looking for help, and I feel like I'm in her shoes. I'm in her shoes, and where nobody will believe you and nobody will intervene. And she disappeared, and I thought it was quite strange that, usually the old system, when somebody is murdered, the police would go and investigate, and everyone that knew the person, to find out who is the murderer. You get it? But she also confided in me that the father of her child was murdered, He died in the car accident. I can come up with evidence of proof of that too. And he got killed in a car accident, and her daughter lived in that car accident. And he left her a life insurance for the daughter, and I believe they killed her for that life insurance, and probably anything else she was being used for. But I found it really weird that the police at that point of time, I mean, there were a lot of work colleagues who will remember her. So I'm not making anything up. And there's definitely evidence under the camera where I can show investigators where to go and have a look. So she went missing, and then I went and filed a police report, and I just found it really weird that the police didn't ask me about her when she went missing, because that's what the old system used to do, you know. And then as time went on, I thought, oh my God, they're going to do what they did to Angela to me. And that's exactly what they've done. And today, with pleasure, I share my testimony globally. I know that I'm a miracle. I know that I just feel that I need to share my story because it is true, and also to help others about trafficking rings, because it's really easy these days to be stuck in a trafficking ring. You can be trafficked right in the middle, under the nose of your own family, which is what I feel is the case with what's happened to me. But at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, you've got to put your own safety first, and your own, those people who you care about first. And this is what's happening. Things are going on really bad, and everyone's too scared to do the right thing. So I will end the New Zealand police here. The hearing, I felt, went really well. I felt the judge was overwhelmed by the information, but I felt I presented my case quite well, considering. I did get emotionally upset because it was me reliving the moment, and that's what it's like. It's me going back in time and reliving the traumatizing moments as it is, and this is the real life a story and background, and it's not safe, no matter how powerful people are. If they're trying to protect people by using orders, a breach, once your privacy's gone, you're exploited, you're always at risk. But I've discovered a lot in this new age system. A lot of the laws, it needs to be abolished. Anyone exploited, your whole family is at risk of going down the same path. And it's definitely easy to kill people's bloodline. So that is why human trafficking in persons is 20 years penalty. And I'm one of those cases. So I think I've covered everything here. So the judge, that is what I left with the judge. The judge wasn't happy. I got the indication from the judges that I'd won my case. I knew I'd won. I'd covered everything according to the laws and case study. I was a bit under pressure. I thought, well, maybe I should have asked for an adjournment for a second day, but I felt I covered enough for the New Zealand police to prove that they are liable, criminally responsible, to be sued. So that's what happened with that case there. What else was I going to say? just one more thing that I wanted to just finish up with this case is that the police didn't have, in fact, none of the corporate bodies had any evidence against me. Okay, they've just used laws and the fact that they've got a law degree, and that's the end of that. Which is not sufficient to even have a order made it in their favour. But I was going to say, just give me a moment. The New Zealand police had no evidence. Okay, the supporting evidence was the other unlawful strikes made by the other judges. Okay, so I have sent the New Zealand police, the Crown, and also for the courts to let the to actually let the judge know that they've actually been pressed criminal charges. Okay, so the other thing I have found in this case, and this is why I feel I need to keep going with what I'm doing publicly until I get closure with everything, is that the government in my country is linked, and the Crown is linked to the court cases and the global game, meaning the relationship scam with Henry Cavill and myself, and Natalie Vasquisco. Sorry if I've pronounced her name wrong. And the other one is Amy Denton. Now, it's come to my reality that what's happened to me historically is really serious, because now I can prove that I was being actually trafficked while I was working for my employer because of the pattern. So what happens with those that are being trafficked in persons like I have been by secret societies is that everyone's in danger, because no one knows that they're actually in danger because everyone's minding their own business and just going about their own business. But these women that I've put on my Facebook page are linked to the police, are linked to somebody in government, is linked to somebody in my court cases, making the charges an international criminal case. Okay, the originals in this matter is actually Henry Cavill and me. Okay, so I just want to might as well just end it with that because this is a criminal case. Just give me a sec. So everything on my page, I made the decision to go public with me and Henry's relationship because he wasn't safe. All right, so we've been secretly, privately in a relationship, a romantic one, since July 2023. Okay, so what I want you to see and get in your mind is I'm going through the same pattern that I did with Pastor King. Okay, so I'm going through the same patterns with Henry and myself. Okay, so these women is linked to somebody in your family. So these are some kind of a split perpetrating, whatever they want to call it. And I'm the original, and Henry is the original. Now Henry's he's a celebrity, and so in his world, he doesn't care about anything to do with public, because one, he doesn't understand the laws and his rights as an individual, that what these fans or whatever these people are doing, his PR are doing, they may be breaking the law because he doesn't have that kind of background or knowledge, whereas I am. Like, for example, imagining somebody defaming a judge's wife. You wouldn't do that, would you? You just wouldn't. And, because you just wouldn't. You'd be sued, you'd be fined, that kind of thing. But the celebrity world is full of people globally who are doing their own thing and the competition is to try and win public favour, to to help support whoever they're trying to support or promote, da da da. The problem is that these people are doing their own thing. These people are definitely breaking the laws, and which is why it's really serious. So here's a photo of Henry that I've got on my page. I chose this photo because he sent this to me, okay? But we are both, so everyone that knows me knows that I'm very private. I'm very private. I hate anything public. I just, I still hate all that kind of thing. I'm not into fame. I'm not, I'm just one of these people. I'm an introvert. I love my privacy. But given the situation, and both of us both well known to the public, even though we are private, and then I realised the defamation going on in his world is just full of lies and make-believe. My concern is that he did get into a situation where somebody did try to overdose him and murder him. He's actually been unwell. He's been in 3 major operations, and only I knew, and his mum knew, and his family knew. And it was me and him made the decision that I would be the voice for both of us publicly until he was well enough to do whatever he's got to do with the public. But plus, because it was quite clear that we were both being suppressed and outnumbered by the bad alliance. So that's why I was forced to go public about me and Henry. And I was finding it really hard to deal with because, he's all these women doing what they're doing, but they're in my space and they're the ones committing the crime, making the threats. They were in my space, mockering. It's a suicidal pact. That's what it is. Because of the intimate abuse involving myself. And, I'm just one of these people. I'm just walking around, catching the bus or go on a train or go to my families or do what I'm doing. And they're waiting for me and I'm getting intimately attacked and abused by the secret society linked to these women. So, but this is a global game. So anything I've put on my Facebook page is evidence from my own point of view of the coding. And, hopefully everyone gets the drift of what a conspiracy is and that nobody is actually safe. But yeah, so there's the only reason why I went, and I'm denouncing all the other women just for the sake of those that are actually watching me. Okay, so I know people in my world believe everything I'm saying. They know that I'm not the type of person who cry wolf. They know I'm not a liar because I'm not a liar. I'm not even good at lying. But in saying that, I'm pretty, I have my own ways of protecting myself. But I just felt because there is 2 alliances going on the surface publicly, there's a reason why public deception is serious. It's equivalent to anything direct. So indirect crimes and direct offences is equivalent to as if there is no such thing as devices. But that is the reason why I believe my court case has been impeded, or they just want to shove it under the mat like nothing existed. But it doesn't actually stop there for myself. Like they haven't stopped making things difficult for me. They haven't stopped sabotaging my plans or Henry's plans. They're fighting. They're fighting, either fighting over him or others are fighting over me. And all we're both trying to do is get forward and be together. But they are sabotaging everything. But we're both witnesses to this new age love triangle, whatever they want to call it. But it's a serious case because one, it connects all your immediate friends and family into it. Everybody's lured into it, and it can shift at any time without anybody knowing. It can backfire. Like everyone's doing what they think is right at the time, but then somebody else comes along and can charge you for something that you never intended on doing. Sometimes it can cause somebody into a shock where they get a heart attack and you can end up losing everything on the spot. But it's a global game of many secret societies involved. So, but the secret societies is involving other government officials around the world. That is what I have found out. So it's kind of like an illegal Commonwealth game. What I find frustrating is that I know I'm doing everything right as far as my court case is concerned. It should have been closed. It should never be lingering in the courts for 7 years. I have tried to get it transferred to the criminal jurisdiction because it is a criminal case, but the game, the victims are they're subject to, they are being trafficked. Okay, so if you don't know what trafficking is when somebody's taken away your human rights, your Bill of Rights, and somebody else is making a decision. I mean, does that make it right for them to make a decision? Okay, you're gonna die? No. Get the drift? But in saying that, there's no laws to support anyone to make that kind of decision to kill them. But in saying that, I feel I've built up enough evidence globally, and also interpreting the laws and making them alive so everyone knows their rights. But it all started from the illegal scientific project involving other people who may now be dead or maybe on the run and on a hiding. But it is a demolition of a human being. So a lot of it's a sport. It's, I have felt whoever can, that those in power don't want, they're fighting for their reputation. They don't want to be proven wrong or go to prison or have their businesses shut down. But at the end of the day, somebody is breaking the law, and that is why we have laws. So I just want to end it with that, okay? I also want to take the opportunity to thank those who have watched over me, and just stay safe, and whatever happens, I just want to give God the glory in everything. So, don't judge, because everyone's journey is different. And I know without a shadow of doubt that God had this in mind for me, going backwards, going when I was a younger Christian, going through my own life's journey. I believe God has chosen this path for me, and so hopefully we'll get to see the end of what's going on. But that is where my court case is at the moment. The other cases are still in the criminal jurisdiction. I just needed to take a break because leading up to Christmas, it's been quite horrific. It's not, no one makes a career of being persecuted and being abused as part of the game and rejected and being intentionally persecuted. So I'm just putting the evidence now on social media, and I'm just going to finish it with this. And recently I've been denouncing those other video clips. Well, those women are part of their criminal alliance, linked to the Crown, linked to the government, linked to my court case, and I'm just trying to stop them coming in my space and deceiving the public. Okay, so I'm quite sure the criminal judges and the criminal lawyers know exactly where I'm coming from. I come from a mindset of a straight person. I'm straight, I'm not gay, Henry's not gay, there's nothing wrong with me mentally. And I'm just determined to ride this out, and hopefully changes will take place to protect the innocent not the defendant. Okay, thanks.